Yes, guys. Hello and welcome back to the Spurs-Related YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing very well on this Thursday afternoon. It's boiling hot in the UK. I'm sure it's nice weather where you are. But we've got nice transfer news to talk about today. And I'm joined alongside our very own version of Thomas Frank, the Frank Thomas, the AI version of him. It is Frank Thomas all the way. He's on his holidays, actually. But Frank, how you doing, mate?
I'm all good. I'm all good. A lot's happened in the last 24 hours, last hour, actually. So I'm quite looking forward to talking about it.
Lovely stuff, mate. Thanks for coming back on. And we've got Johnny H3232, aka Mr. Talking Tottenham 1882 off of Instagram. Go and check him out if you haven't done so already. But Johnny boy, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good. Frank Thomas, I must have been in dreamland when they named Thomas Frank as the manager. I mean, what more could you ask for?
It's mental to say that my own club has you know, it's insane actually. Like it feels very odd, and I've had quite a few people on Twitter and things ask me if I'm him on a burner account.
Yeah, no, I think the best thing to do would actually be to call up Thomas Frank and ask him to revert his name and change his name to Frank Thomas. To make
exactly. Or let me have his job.
But right now, I'm suffering from Morgan Gibbs-White.
Oh, that's terrible. Right, we'll get into things. Guys, do the usual, please. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to Spurs-Related if you are new. Let's keep the great support going. Really appreciate it. But enough of the plugging for now. Give me at least 20 minutes before I plug it again. Massive BOMBA, as they like to call it. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Morgan Gibbs-White, as per David Ornstein, is now heavily linked with Tottenham Hotspur. And obviously, you know, before we get any further, Mohamed Kudus, here we go, yesterday, as per Fabrizio Romero. So that one's off the list. £55 million over 3 years. A Daniel Levy masterclass, a Klarna masterclass. Pay off your money over a few years. He loves it. He loves doing it, but we're pretty happy with Kudus. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you are watching on repeat. But we'll get into Kudus in just a minute. I want to get into the news that has just broken, as it is fresh from David Ornstein, that Tottenham Hotspur have turned their attention to Nottingham Forest midfielder Morgan Gibbs-White. And Tottenham head coach Thomas Frank, long-term admirer of the 25-year-old of Nottingham Forest. Spurs will try to convince England international to join if the deal can be agreed with Nottingham Forest. It's worth pointing out that Anthony Elanga to Newcastle 2 days ago was a here we go as well. So let's not forget that Nottingham Forest have already lost one of their better players. Morgan Gibbs-White is probably, I would say, their best player, and if not the top three. So certainly Nottingham Forest fans, a nervous time for them, but exciting time for Tottenham fans. Let's get into the chat and then we'll get into things more about Morgan Gibbs-White and break this one down, see if Johnny and Frank are admirers of Morgan Gibbs-White, because I think there might be a bit of a debate if Frank goes with what he told me in the back end of the stream. But Aaron is saying, can't wait for this one. Thanks, mate. Thanks for your support. Deng Williams in here. Aaron saying, come on, let's dissect this madness. Roy Viken, sorry if I got that wrong, says, big up, boys, big up yourself. And Martin saying, everyone wants White now. We have all moved on from Eze. Who's Eze? I don't even know who he is. But listen, guys, as I said, let's get into some talking points about Morgan Gibbs-White, and let's bring in Johnny and Frank. So, my first point is, I've dissected his positions played, because the first question is, do we need a Morgan Gibbs-White? He mainly plays attacking midfielder, which would suggest that he's coming in to replace essentially a James Maddison in the starting 11, or certainly compete with him, but also plays a lot of games at central midfield. So maybe is he going to be playing in that pivot in the 4-2-3-1 Thomas Frank style, almost like a number 8? I'm going to bring in Frank to start with, and then Johnny, I am sure you will have a lot to say about this as well. Let's bring our faces up to the side. Frank, as you can see, majority of his career he's playing attacking midfield, then central midfield, then it was almost like a 10 centre forward, and then also can play right winger. Very versatile, it must be said. First question, do we need Morgan Gibbs-White? Do you like the player? And how do you see him fitting in?
First of all, I like him a lot. I really like him. I think I was saying to you earlier on that I said yesterday, I was saying to a family member yesterday that I wonder where he'll go, and I hope it's us. The more I think about it, the more I'm sort of questioning where he fits in. But I think there's a solution to where he fits in. First of all, he's played 50 games as a central midfielder. There might be the argument they're going to use him as one of the double pivot that Frank uses, which we spoke about before. That he's going to be, I said before, you need players that are intelligent and comfortable, and he might be perfect for what Thomas Frank wants in that role. If that's not the case, and they want to use him as an attacking midfielder more often than not, then that would suggest to me that Son might be off, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because maybe they might look at using, or maybe it has no real impact with Son, but they might be looking at using Johnson as a striker. It wouldn't shock me. Maybe more off the left as a striker, moving Kulu out wide more, and then your two main attacking midfielders are Gibbs-White and Maddison. So as a player, I think he's brilliant. I think he suits Thomas Frank's system in that he's versatile and can play in a number of different roles. And as we said with Thomas Frank, it's so you switch every week in terms of how you play and this and that. And he's someone that's comfortable on the ball but can play a number of different roles. And so I think we've become hung up a little bit on the idea we need, a six in kind of this real gritty sort of defensive six. And I think we do. But I think that's a role that, as in a double pivot, he could play. And so, if that is the idea, then I'm quite excited by it.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, the double pivot point's interesting. The point about exciting player, young, still 25, very interesting. If it's what Thomas Frank wants, get it done. Johnny, bringing you in, mate. What's your thoughts on Morgan Gibbs-White? Do you think we need him? And as Frank said, maybe do you see a Brennan Johnson going as more of a second striker? Maybe Morgan Gibbs-White does fit at the number 10. What do you think?
I think that what I mentioned to you before earlier today, Thomas Frank likes to play two strikers at times. And I can see now with Kudus moving out right, that would signify to me that he's going to move inside and at times play as second striker. I don't think 18 goals in 158, 159 games is good enough for an attacking midfielder, personally. But you can't get lost in those particular stats too much. I think we've got a situation where I could see him being more needed, to be honest, if I'm honest, as a 10, because we know that James Maddison is never going to play a full season. And when he does get injured, he normally takes a while, even when he's come back from that injury, to get back running again. I think he got 29. How many assists has he got? I think it's 29 assists altogether or something like that.
Around
something like that. Anyway, but I mean, the assist ratio is far better. And I think with his runs, look, I think Thomas Frank is, sorry, I'm trying to not say your name, Frank. I'm now going to be saying Frank Thomas all night. I can see it.
Johnny, before you continue, I just wanted to clarify his stats. 124 games as a attacking midfielder, 19 goals, 23 assists in that position alone. So around my maths is off. Around 42 goal contributions in 120 games, about one goal contribution every 3 games. Do you not think that's good enough?
No. I'm saying as a goal scorer. I was then referring to the fact that as a creator and as a disruptor up top, he's exactly probably what we need. Because we're going to press high up the pitch, and he's aggressive, and he probably answers and ticks all the boxes of what Thomas Frank wants. The only problem, the only fly in the ointment here for me is I really thought that Manchester City were going to be coming in for him. And on Football Inc., only this morning, we covered a story that he was going potentially to Man City. I would be very excited if we sign him because he's exactly what we need. People keep saying, where's he going to play? Where's he going to play? Hey, guys, this is a squad-based game, right? Everyone keeps looking at the first 11. We have injuries. We have 3 competitions. We're going to be in the Champions League. We want to have a decent run in the Premier League. We can't be having these conversations, oh, we got 5 players out and we fall off the cliff. We need strength in depth, and this is adding strength in depth. You need competition for places. The question will be who is going to go. We obviously think that Basuma is going to be one to go, but I think more will be leaving. Whether or not Sonny is the one who leaves after the game out in Korea, or out in Asia, should I say. So we'll wait and see. But listen, he's versatile again, but we can see that his best position is an attacking midfielder. But Thomas Frank likes to change. I've been watching Thomas Frank now for 5 years. A friend of mine has a player at Brentford for a number of years, and I've followed him since they were in the Championship. And, you know, you're watching them one week and you go to watch them the next week and you can't even remember, hang on a minute, what's going on. And it takes you a few minutes to work out exactly how he's set up. He tweaks the system and he looks for intelligent players who can move and change system in game. Under Ange Postecoglou, there was nothing to really think about. You have one way of playing. This is what I want you to do. Do it. That's it. Right, which is why you saw no interaction with him at the side of the pitch, because there's nothing to tell anyone, because he's already told you what he wants. With Thomas Frank, you're going to get interaction from the side of the pitch throughout the whole game, him and Cochrane. And I think the flexibility to change system is crucial, to have the right players who can change position and be comfortable doing it. And Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White fit the bill perfectly.
Sure, yeah, no, absolutely. It's exciting that we've got so many names we're linked with, and Johnny will come on to more of the finances in a minute, because I know you've been talking about that on Football Inc. as well, in terms of, you know, it seems like Tottenham have more money to spend than perhaps we first thought. You know, I remember only 2 weeks ago I did a video saying, do Tottenham have a cash flow problem? And now suddenly, you know, we're linked with Morgan Gibbs-White, we're linked with Wissa, who we'll come on to as well. We bought Mohamed Kudus, which is an excellent signing. As Aaron's just said, there's a Fabrizio tweet, which we'll get up in just a minute, which is an update on Morgan Gibbs-White. Not much more news, to be honest with you, but when Fabrizio's talking about it as well, you know that there is definitely no sign of rubbish being talked about. I mean, David Ornstein's tier 1 as well. Let's bring that tweet up in just a second. I wanted to bring up Sean's comment around Morgan Gibbs-White saying that he would be a 10 in a rotation, competition with Maddison and Kulu. Kudus on the right, Johnson on the left. Not sure about Johnson on the left. For a front three of Johnson, Son, Solanke, Wissa, Kudus, Kulu. Obviously looking nice on the squad depth there. I'll flip round to Frank. Frank, what do you think on this? Do you think you could A, see Johnson on the left, but B, do you think that we need all these attackers when, I mean, let's be honest, we need to get a number 6. I don't think anyone can hide away from the fact we need a number 6, right?
Go on. Are you going to go, Frank?
I don't mind. If you go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, look, it's probably, I think we've needed a 6 longer than Arsenal have needed a striker. And I just don't know how much longer we're going to go without getting one. I'd be absolutely shocked if we start this season without a 6. Whether it's someone like Yao Gomez, whether it's Paulinho, Douglas Luiz for me would be my first choice. Double pivot or not, we need a 6. We need protection. He likes to play in triangles on the flanks, which for me, when you're dealing with a counter attack, we can't have the situation we had last year where we had great big holes running through the middle. We had more holes than Swiss cheese. So I actually think that the 6. I mean, I'm happy to get Morgan Gibbs-White. Don't make any bones about it. I'm delighted about this. But 100%. £25 million for me, Douglas Luiz. I've heard he didn't have a great season last season, but we know that he can perform I think he can perform at Champions League level, and I believe that he can perform. Well, I know he can perform at Premier League level. I don't know what you think on that one, Frank.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, going back to the first thing you said about he's a squad player. You need a strength in depth and you need squad players.
Yeah.
As I said the other day, we're going to have 48 games at the bare minimum next year. 8 in Europe. If you go out of the first round of everything, 8 in Europe, 2 domestically in the cups, and 38 league games. And James Maddison and Kulu both don't have fantastic injury records. Certainly James Maddison. So you need squad players, and then what we kind of said is that he's so versatile that he can play in these different roles and things. So first of all, for him, I think it'd be a good deal as long as it's not a ridiculous amount of money, which is probably 70 odd, which I read a minute ago was what they were after was too much. But if it's probably 50 odd again, 55, I think it'd be a really good sign for Tottenham. Douglas Luiz, I think again would be a good deal. If it's again 25-30 million pound for Douglas Luiz, I think would be a good pickup. It's the sort of one that Paratici, I imagine, if he's still working with them and has an influence, which I'm sure he does, will happen, I imagine, quite late in the window when these agents are offering all these players out in panic to try and get them a move before the window shuts. So I imagine he'll be one that, same with Paulinho as well, that will be sort of talked about until the end of the window.
Absolutely. Let's bring up the news that's just come out from Fabrizio Romano. Then there's a question for Sean. Then we'll get on to another talking point. And guys, smash the like button on this video, on this live stream. If you do like these transfer update videos, you do like the offline videos, I also make the 8-minute quick updates. And subscribe if you're new. Turn on those notification bells. Please keep supporting the channel. That's most appreciated. But the latest from Fabrizio Romano, tweeted just 5 minutes ago, we bring you all the breaking news here, is that after the Kudus deal is now done, Tottenham have made a formal approach for Nottingham Forest for Morgan Gibbs-White. Official club-to-club talks are ongoing with an opening bid expected soon, as we've just talked about the price here. Interesting to see if, Daniel Levy bids 3 million and a packet of coconut milk or something like that rather than the actual, value. But, or maybe we'll do a Klarna again over 4 years. But anyway, Gibbs-White can be open to the move. That bit's Gibbs-White can be open to the move. Doesn't mean he's not like a Kudus where he's only sit on Spurs there. That says to me that Man City is still sniffing around, if you ask me. Gibbs-White open to the move, up to the clubs now. I think it's also up to the player, I've got to add, because there's no way that, he's not going to be wanting to go to Man City over Tottenham. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. Johnny, anything to add on that?
Come on down. The price is right. I mean, look, I was shocked when I heard this news this afternoon because on Football Link earlier, I'd done a whole thing about him going to Manchester City. So I thought it was some sort of wind up.
Yeah.
Look, I mean,
Johnny, you were asleep when I rang you. I said, "Have you heard the news?" And you went, "What? Gibbs-White to Man City?" I went, "No, mate, that was yesterday's news."
Yeah, listen, let's be honest, right? It's obvious, Spurs on the way up, Man City on the way down, that he's going to choose Spurs, obviously. Manchester City in free fall, only spending a couple of 100 million. Only, just for starters. No, look, he's a very good player. If he comes, fantastic. But I think it's too early just to get too excited yet. We talk about BOMBA. We're linked to a lot of players. Obviously, we are going to do business, which is exciting. Finally, it's hotting up, and this is one we'd like to do. I think we'll get more clarity on this as the evening goes on or the days go on. Hopefully, this isn't one that drags on, but it'd be interesting to see. I think we will be odds on that our first bid is rejected. I think that's safe to say.
I think that is safe to say. I think couldn't be safer. Breaking news on Sky Sports: Gibbs-White in talks with Tottenham. That's it, Russell. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano saying that the talks are ongoing, expecting a bid soon. Maybe the bid will come later, maybe it'll come tomorrow, but certainly we are in the mix along with Manchester City. So it's not it's definitely a shootout between the two. Maybe another club comes in, who knows? But let's be honest, things are progressing. Shout out to Jack Burford, Spurs-related legend. Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope things are good with you.
Can I just ask, James, what is the date? if you just let me know, what is the date we leave for the tour?
Well, you put me on the spot here. That's normally a Frank type question. I'll just flip the pressure on him on that one. While Frank's finding that out, don't you think Eze is the better option? Says Abdul Rahman.
Honestly, we're talking. There's levels, and he's on another level, in my opinion. Eze, he glides like Ginola. He can play off the left. He can play as a 10. You can't get the ball off of him, and he's the type of guy, picks up the ball in the D and a low block when you can't score and you can't break them down, and just bangs one into the bottom corner. I don't dislike him at all. Obviously, I'm a fan of Morgan Gibbs-White, but if it came to a flip of the coin between the two, I'm taking Eze all day long. No disrespect to him.
100%. Well, Bakibe has said he Gibbs-White all the way. I don't know if that is in relation to what we just spoken about, Gibbs-White or Eze, but certainly a talking point. Certainly different players. Gibbs-White being certainly the more defensive-minded of the two. But yeah, I mean, certainly we need a rock solid number 6 as well, as we talked about. Douglas Luiz is the forefront potentially. Looks like Juventus are trying to sell a few. Jack saying, great to see Johnny and Frank as well. Catch up soon, lads.
Good to see you, Jack.
Cheers, Jacko. Listen, as Aaron's just put, Wissa has been forgotten about this. When we were about to go live, what we were going to talk about was Kudus and Wissa, which was the most recent link. And now we're talking about Morgan Gibbs-White. So we've just done 20 minutes on Morgan Gibbs-White. We're going to flip it. I'm sure we'll come back to it if something comes up. Abdul Rahman's also saying Wissa news. Let's get to the Wissa news because let's be honest, we've had a lot about Morgan Gibbs-White. Actually, I tell a lie. I wanted to bring up this stat on Morgan Gibbs-White because, as we're saying, do we need a Morgan Gibbs-White? Do we need this type of player in our team? Well, according to FBref, his main attributes are interceptions, top 90 percentile, clearances, top 81, 1 per game, and aerials, 190, top 93 percentile. So, I mean, I've seen Morgan Gibbs-White. We all watch the Premier League week in, week out. Very physical player, very, very good in the air, strong, versatile. Do we need him? I'll let you guys decide in the comments below. If you're watching on repeat, whack your comments in. But I thought that was an interesting stat. And Frank brought this one up. According to someone at The Athletic. Frank, what's the name of the guy from The Athletic on this one?
It's Daniel Taylor. And I don't know him overly well, but I had a look. And I think he's basically a correspondent at The Athletic for Nottingham Forest.
Right.
He said, I read the actual tweet a minute ago, and he said he's not looking forward to telling his son the news. And that he thinks it's getting close. So I imagine the way it's all kind of come out this evening or this afternoon out of literally nothing. And it all seems like it's going quite quickly. I imagine it's the sort of thing that we'll have, as you guys said, some form of clarity on in the next couple of hours or even by tomorrow.
I can give you one stamp here that's going to be the deciding factor.
Go on.
And that is the fact that the player belongs to CAA base. CAA base's relationship with Tottenham is like this. And we already know the long list of players that are at the club. And I think this is a deal that's been in the background already, but not as a priority. Maybe to get the other deal done. I'm sure that this deal has been talked about between CAA, Thomas Frank, and Tottenham. So maybe the player's been made already aware of Tottenham's interest, and that's why this could be further down the road. There may be a deal which is involved with a different agent without speaking to Spurs and the club. So interesting. But that would be a big plus for me in terms of getting this deal done, the presence of CAA.
Absolutely. They're very, very good point. Very good point. And that works in our favour, doesn't it? So let's hope we can get something done. Guys, I've just looked at the numbers. Incredible numbers considering it's a live stream at 4 p.m. Obviously, people work, people do all sorts in the day. And there's around 70 to 80 watching on YouTube and Facebook as well. So please do smash a like. There's only 20 something likes on the video. Smash a like, smash your subscribe if you are new, and also turn the notification bell on. I know Johnny likes that one, the little bell button, because you never miss us going live and you never miss a transfer update video. And I'd love you guys to be supporting us even further than you already have been. So I really appreciate the support. Smash like, smash subscribe, and smash the noti bell. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to get you guys to go over to Football Inc., which is Johnny's channel, which covers all football, not just Tottenham Hotspur. So get over there in a minute. But let's talk about Wissa, because we haven't done yet already. Here he is. The goal scorer himself, the guy that's in a massive purple patch, fair to say, and who Thomas Frank's turned into bit of a goal machine last season. The latest on this is that Sammy Mockbell of the BBC has said that Tottenham are moving for Brentford attacker Johan Wissa, who is understood to be open to a move, probably thanks to the big man in charge, Thomas Frank, and that Tottenham are weighing up financials attached to the deal. Now, Johnny, I saw you breaking this down on Football Inc. earlier, because there is some heavy financials involved in a player that's only got 1 year left on his deal, and actually, you know, Brentford apparently are asking for around £50 million. Now, Johnny, over to you. A, is that worth it? And B, I just can't see us stumping up that kind of money. No,
listen, they signed him for £7 million. He's 29, coming up to 29 years of age in September, I believe. Yeah, September. He's going to be 29. Look, his stats don't lie. And what Thomas Frank does, he turns players with talent into gold machines. He's done it with Romero over 18 months, 2 years. He's done it with Wissa. And I believe he'll do it with Kudus, Matthias Tell, and the likes of whoever else we sign up now. But the fact of the matter is, he'd be amortized now. Whatever they get, they're going to have a lovely profit on this now. Because, as I said, amortized over the time that he's been there. He's got 1 year left with another 1 year option. So technically a 2 year deal if they want to. There's no way you can pay that sort of money. I believe he's on about 25, 30 grand a week, which is crazy for a guy who scored 19 goals this season and no penalties. I think it's 4 assists. No penalties, 19 goals, which stacks up against any of the strikers really in the Oh, there you go. Look, yeah, more or less. Only Mohamed Salah behind Mo Salah. So I think you know, what more could you ask for? The problem is he's 29 years of age. So for me, fair value is 25, 30 million pounds. I think 25 million. We can do this. I think this is 100% a transfer that's been requested by Thomas Frank.
100%.
And said, look, this is the player I want, because he does not fit the age range for Daniel Levy, not the amount of money that he's going to have to pay and get no return back on his money. So this is all about Thomas Frank and keeping Thomas Frank happy to get this deal over the line. But I think even Thomas Frank would agree that you can't pay £50 million for a 29-year-old, not in this market.
And not with one that's got 1 year left on his deal, right? That's also the main point, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any problem paying 25, 30 million and maybe add-ons. Like if we win the Champions League, something reasonable, or like we win the Davis Cup, the normal add-ons. That will be fine. But
win the Walter Tull Cup against Rangers again in a one-game shootout.
Yeah, no, well, we can't have that because we'll definitely have to pay that up. But something realistic, I don't know, like the boat race or something.
I love it, mate. Okay, I'll come over to Frank as well on this, but for me, I've got to highlight it again because I thought this was just an incredible stat last year. You know, we're talking about Haaland, we're talking about Salah, we're talking about Isak. You know, all three players, world class. And Johan Wissa was literally joint with our Erling Haaland and our Isak at number 2 for non-penalty goals. I mean, for me, that is, I know Johnny's just highlighted it. It's an incredible stat for someone that plays for Brentford. that is a much weaker team than a Man City, than a Liverpool, than a Newcastle, and delivers. Frank, would you argue Johnny's point? I'm not trying to cause an argument. Yes, I am. In the sense that, Johnny's saying no more than 25 million for a player that's got 1 year left, 29 years old. Would you argue that those goals are worth an extra 10, say bid 35, 40 million? If Brentford are asking for 50, let's meet them in the middle of those valuations. What do you think?
First of all, just before I go into that, I saw a video come up just now of Kudus at the training ground, which is an exclusive. But get on to bring it
up in a minute.
On to Wissa. Yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, in isolation, if you wanted to get a guy who scores 19 Premier League goals, from in the Premier League, whatever, it's going to cost you a lot of money from a club at Brentford's level, which is kind of that mid-table level. But when you pull into context, as you say, he's got a year left. He's 28, 29. I like him. If Thomas Frank really wants him, then maybe look at it. But I don't see a world where Tottenham and Daniel Levy pay the money they're asking. I don't see it. That's not how they operate. And given that they bought Tell already at 30 on that side, they might get another one. But they've got Odobert as well. I'd be surprised if maybe they're looking at Wissa as a replacement for Richarlison.
Good point. Yeah,
and I think Kevin said it in the comments that maybe they give Richarlison to Brentford. Whether or not they'd want him is a different argument. I imagine the answer is no. But yeah, I mean, if that's the reason to play him as a backup 9, then I'd take him. But for 50 million, I think you can get better players.
I don't think we need to sell Richarlison. I've said this before. When you've got a situation, first of all, we're not taking into account there's something called injuries. Second of all, when you're playing in the Champions League, say for example, we play AC Milan, whatever, first game. Richarlison, he plays 70 minutes. He starts in the Champions League, for example, comes off. Solanke comes on for 20 minutes. Then you got Arsenal, whoever, on the Saturday. You reverse it, and then they might need a rest. You've got Wissa. We've got lots of options this season. Well, sorry, the season we've just gone. It was a disaster. Every time we were losing, we had no strike. We didn't have the right strikers. We were putting square pegs in round holes. We didn't have options. There is nothing wrong with having too many options. I never see Man City or Liverpool or Arsenal complaining about options. If you look at what Arsenal are doing right now, and, they're buying midfielders. They bought Zubimendi to double pivot with Marino. They're going to buy, they bought Norgard. They're going to buy Noni. They could buy Eze. They've got an abundance of players. I don't see them talking like we talk about having too many players. And I don't think 3 strikers or 3 potential attacking players is something we should be even contemplating complaining about. I think it's something we should be happy about. I think strength for depth is the thing that's been killing us probably for the last 4 or 5 years. It's
almost like that's why we're surprised, Johnny. Would you agree? It's almost like when we're linked with 3 strikers or potential to have 3 attackers in the squad, it's like, who's going? It's like, no, that's what we've not been used to, having players on the bench that can come on and make an impact, or players ready in the fringe that are ready when an injury occurs. That's what we're not used to. And as Martin said here, which kind of summarizes it all, you can never have too many players.
Correct.
If we can afford to do it, and if we can afford to have because the other thing is the challenge of having many players in the same position. So like now, Kudus coming in the Johnson position, that puts more pressure on Johnson to do more, to develop his game, to be able to beat a man or offer us something that maybe he hasn't before. It's great to have those different types of players in the same position, I feel. But as Lisa said, Matt Law said that he tweeted saying serious moves by Tottenham to get Kudus and go from Gibbs-White suggests investment from ENIC or outside has happened or is happening. Johnny, I know this is sort of your experts. expert subject. Do you want to give a bit more
Yeah,
background?
look,
Look,
I've been going on about this since the end of March, and no one was particularly interested in what I had to say. I said, when Sherrington came into the board, he's, Joe Lewis's former banker, private banker, former head of Citibank, and running ENIC affairs for him. And suddenly he's parachuted into the board to take up a position. No one knew exactly what position, but you don't need to be a genius to understand why that may be. We've had lots of failed investment opportunities, and whether that's down to Daniel Levy being over greedy and what he wants as far as the money for the deal to go ahead is by the by. Then you see Vinay come in, and Vinay, when he left Arsenal, he was offered lots of jobs in private equity, both in the United States and in Saudi Arabia, and was offered a job up at Newcastle. He has a fantastic financial connections. If you couple Vinay and Charrington together and you put them on the board, for me, if you're looking to attract inward investment, these two guys are two heavyweights. They've got more financial credibility than most boards have. And therefore, I believed that inward investment was about to come in. Bearing in mind that we've been with Rothschilds, Levy or ENIC have been with Rothschilds Bank now for over 20 months, looking for the right investor. And what I said was, they said, well, why haven't they announced it? Would you announce investment during the transfer window? No,
because then the club suddenly asks you for more money, right?
Yeah. So I said, if there is inward investment, and I believe that there would be coming. I didn't know how much or from who, but I believed that it was coming. I envisaged a situation where it would become clear once the window had closed, and my theory was shot down when the fact that we hadn't done one single transfer deal in quite a while. And now we've just done Kudus, and now we're being linked to Wissa, and now we're being linked to Morgan Gibbs-White. It's too early to say, but long may this continue, and maybe at long last, Spurs fans are going to get what we've truly wanted for a long time. Proper investment. What should have happened in 2019 after we won didn't win, sorry. We made the Champions League final, and he handed out a loser's watch to the squad. I think this could be, it's too early to go, but this could be the start potentially of much needed cash injection.
Fingers crossed. Hey, fingers crossed. Really, really positive news today. Obviously, Kudus done last night. Frank said that he's seen pictures of Kudus in training. Maybe we'll be able to get the pictures up before the end of the stream for you guys. Wissa could be developing. Morgan Gibbs-White looks like it's accelerating fast, so stay tuned for that. We might even have another video later, who knows? But a few more minutes and then we will wrap things up. Before we go, an interesting discussion now, an interesting one for the guys in the chat, the ones watching on repeat. I know a lot of you like watching live and or after the stream's ended, but we've created a Spurs potential 11 for the 2025-2026 Premier League season. And just this alone is just the 11. But if we were to sign Morgan Gibbs-White, and obviously Kudus is done, you look at that on paper now. You look at it, Vicario, decent. Obviously, still have his question marks over his handling, especially from corners. Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, Porro, we know is pretty solid. That's if Romero stays. Morgan Gibbs-White potentially playing in a pivot with Bergvall. I'll leave that up to your guys' interpretation. Is that solid enough, or do you need more of a number 6? I think Johnny probably would argue you definitely need a Douglas Luiz mixed in there. And then Maddison at the 10, Kudus as the right winger, Tell as the left winger, and Solanke as the striker. Bit of food for thought there, guys. I'll go to Frank first this time, and then I'll come over to Johnny. Frank, do you think that team is good enough for top 6?
On paper, yeah. I think, and when you look at the squad that's behind that as well, that's without Kulu, who was one of our better players when he was fit this season. That's without Spence, who for large parts of the season was one of our better players. You can go the whole way through. Som's still there. Johnson, who was our top goal scorer. You know, there's a lot of players. Bentancur started to hit a bit of form coming the end of the season. Pape Sarr's not in there, and so looking on it just at that image, I mean, it looks attacking and it looks open in theory. I think we need a six. I think Bentancur can do that role better than actually anything else we have currently. I'm a big Bentancur fan. I think he's starting to slowly hit that form again that he had slowly, sort of pre-injury. But when I look at it, last year we played this system that was so open and so expansive and so risky, for large parts of it. And Thomas Frank's system won't be like that. That you can get away. Last year you couldn't have played Gibbs-White and Bergvall as a double pivot in Ange's system, because you would have probably lost every game. Because I love Bergvall and I like more Gibbs-White a lot, but it was so open. And so that wasn't, and so often it looked like there was, all this space, and that won't be the case next year or next season because of just general tweaks to the system and different ways of doing things. Having a sort of a more structured back line means that, there isn't always this space down the flanks, which when we played Palace about a week before the cup final, I've never seen that they could have scored about 6 in the first half, just the same chance, just constantly down in those areas. So you could get away with that. Maybe I agree. They probably need a 6. I think Bentancur will be liked by Thomas Frank. We said about Sarr before. I'm not sure if Sarr's going to be one that he's going to love. I think this is a big chance for Sarr to actually build his way into a system, but also I feel like this could be if this doesn't work for Sarr here with Thomas Frank, then I'm not sure it'll work at Tottenham. Especially now that Bergvall's probably cemented that place as well. And if they go out and buy Gibbs-White at 60 million or something, he's probably going to play more often than not, providing he's fit.
Sure, it puts Sarr down the pecking order again. Johnny, I know you said on, or maybe it was more Sean, that you think Sarr is going to explode next season. What does the Gibbs-White news mean for Sarr next season? And also, do you have any further thoughts on this 11 and potential progress, Johnny?
I'll tell you who I'd go and sign to sort it all out, and he was a player I wanted before any of the others, is Adam Walton, who I wanted when he was at Blackburn before he went to Palace. Go and sign Adam Walton, pay them the 60 million, whack him in. You've got your 6 for the next 5 years.
100%.
Win the ball, deliver it quickly. I would be more tempted to spend my money there than Morgan Gibbs-White, or if the money's there, you buy both. Look, I know where everyone's going here already. Like, where's Archie Gray going to play? Where's Papa Sarr going to play? We got too many players. We got more wingers than Nando's. We've got so many players that are sat on there. Where's Odeberg going to play? Where's Song going to play? Where's Richarlison going to play? Where's Mikey Moore going to play? You could go on and on and on and on with this. I do think, though, that with a fluid system, if you, for example, put Archie Gray there, or Adam Walton, you could see, say, for example, where Morgan Gibbs-White is playing there, right in the middle, right, that he drops back at times to form a 5 at the back. And I think it will be, that position could be quite fluid. But he will play that system depending on who the opposition is. You know, I also like Hayden Hackney, Martin, but there's a lot of... He's got a lot of good attributes, but there's a lot he still needs to improve on. And I think Adam Walton is a much higher level already right now, even though he has progression that's needed in certain areas. But I just think that team, it just worries me whether or not, as Frank was saying, under Ange, that would never have survived 5 seconds. We'll be playing slightly different. I still feel that there's a 6 needed in there somewhere.
100%, mate. 100%. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of solidity there, for sure. One more point, and then there's some breaking news on Morgan Gibbs-White as well. I mean, this has been the perfect time to stream everything about Morgan Gibbs-White because it's all coming out at once. We might have to stay live for 3 hours, guys. No, but we will bring that up in just a minute. But one more question for Frank while I'm bringing that news up. Frank, what's your thoughts on sort of the Kudus-Johnson debate? Do you think that we'll see Johnson come in as more of a second striker in games with Solanke? Do you think Kudus comes across as the 10? What do you think is going to happen with him?
I think ultimately, I think we spoke about it before, it's about options, and they are literally polar opposites. You know, Johnson has the output going for him, and Johnson is more of a poacher and that sort of winger, whereas Kudus will hurt you with pace and he'll drive at you and it will create things like that. So I think obviously we're going to have a lot of games, and I keep repeating it, but so you're going to have different options. I think Johnson will be used both out on the right and you know up top. But certainly if we went to Manchester City, for example, and he plays 5 at the back, it wouldn't shock me if we have Johnson and Solanke up top. That wouldn't surprise me at all. That Solanke's someone that can play slightly deeper. I think he used to play as a 10 when he was younger as well. So that's sort of, you know, then you've got Johnson who can run on past him. And so that, I think Kudus, will be used times if he's needed as a 10, but I think he'll be predominantly used on the right. I'll be surprised if he's not used mainly on the right. But then again, it's, as I say, that different situations in different games and whatever will determine that.
I love Richard Rios, by the way. I'm a massive fan. Colombian, former futsal player. He was only discovered playing in the under-21 futsal tournament by Flamenco, and you know, we've seen the rise to where he is now with Palmeiras. He's got some fantastic ball control. I'd be amazed if he doesn't end up at a Premier League club or a top club in Europe this season. Sure. Saw Conor Gallagher. Aaron's gone on about Conor Gallagher here. I saw him sat next to Madders, wasn't he, at the tennis?
Wimbledon. Yeah. I thought you were next to him as well, Johnny. But listen, let's get into the breaking news, because obviously we've been talking about Morgan Gibbs-White. We'll come back to those other points in the chat, guys. Keep whacking your comments in. Keep smashing the like button. There's nearly 100 of you now. Come on, guys. Let's get to 50, 60, 70 likes. Let's hit subscribe and turn the notification bells on. I think that's my favorite one. Noti bells on so you never miss a video. It's free to do so. All of those are free to do so. But the breaking news is that apparently, according to the Telegraph, and Matt Law has just reposted this, who is a very, very credible journalist at the Telegraph, the Daily Telegraph, is that Tottenham are ready to trigger the £60 million release clause to sign Morgan Gibbs-White. And there you go. Apparently, this investment that we've just been talking about, this intent is really serious. If we can get Morgan Gibbs-White done in the next few days, wow, that shows intent. 55 million on Mohamed Kudus, 60 million pounds on Morgan Gibbs-White. That's 115 million pound bang. Now we're talking about serious intent. Johnny, are you suddenly thinking, wow, we have got a serious summer on our hands?
I said, maybe not on this channel, but I've said before, I expect us to spend money, even when they were saying cash is tight. I said, I don't believe it is. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it is. I don't believe that you could sit there, Vinay and Levy could sit there and say, I want to win the Champions League. I want us to win the Premier League, and sit there and buy Carlos Kickable or some guy you got to Google.
Carlos Kickable, did you just say?
Yeah, Carlos Kickable. You know, I just think that I believe this. I mean, you can ask Sean. I've gone on about it for months on end. I was told I was naive, gullible. Maybe it'll prove that I am, but I stand by what I've said. Nothing's changing, and I think if this deal goes ahead, then great. Yes, there might be players that we're ready to sell that we don't know about right now. Maybe Son will go to Saudi for 40 million and we're trading one offer against the other. Maybe sure. Richarlison will go to Saudi and we'll get 30, 40 million pound, which will go towards that. the Matthias Tell deal, we've not actually held out any money, don't forget, because the money was owed to us by Bayern Munich. And we got £17 million in from Pierre Højbjerg. So, we've got money. Yes, we've got other transactions that were done in January that got to be paid for. But no, I think there looks to be like serious money coming in at long last.
Yeah, for sure. It does seem like money at last. And here's Romanshu, Johnny. I know you pronounced his name last time, if you remember rightly, Johnny. I think it was you. And he said,
Romanshu Mukherjee.
Yeah, you remember. A few days back, I came to one of your videos and said we should sign Morgan Gibbs-White. I feel like you might be our insider, Romanshu. Let us know if we're going to be signing, any top players again. Martin saying Solomon, Hill, Richie and Son will go to fund all this. There must be some outgoings, guys. We haven't seen much in the way of outgoings. We've said that apparently Thomas Frank wants to see Manor Solomon. I mean, at this rate, he wants to see Manor Solomon playing for the under-23s because at this rate, the guy's going to get nowhere near this team if we're really buying Morgan Gibbs-White. We really got Kudus, which is locked in. I mean, and as also Aaron's put, we could see a here we go tonight. Potentially, maybe not that quick, but I do think that certainly it's progressing very, very quickly. And suddenly Spurs are trying to do all their business, bang, at once, all very quickly. Guys, we'll go for 2 more minutes. The numbers have been brilliant. Over 100 of you now across YouTube and Facebook. Please smash the like button. Please subscribe if you're new. And please turn the notification bells on. All 3 are free to do so. And it helps us out massively. And also, while you're all still here, before we do end up, go and check out Football Inc. I'm going to paste the link in again for those that missed it. Johnny, what's coming up on Football Inc? And guys, don't all click off the channel just because I'm plugging a channel. We are still going for 5-10 more minutes. So please do me a massive favor. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and turn notification bells on. And go and check out Football Inc. Johnny, what's coming up on Football Inc, mate?
Yeah, Football Inc. If I wasn't going out right now, we'd probably be doing the BOMBA drop. But tomorrow we will definitely be doing a video on this. We do football every single day, 1 hour, concise transfers. If you love football, I mean, obviously you love Spurs, but if you love football and love everything about football, we talk about everything from football controversy, finance and transfers. And our numbers are very, very good. We've only been going a couple of months, seriously, and we're almost at 3,000 subs. So guys, give us a follow after the show's finished, obviously. Don't want to leave. But
if you're on phone, you can do it at the same time. You literally click the link.
Hit the sub button, guys. Hit the sub button. It's well worth doing. We have plenty of laughs. Myself and Sean Butler from Spurs Talk Show.
Absolutely. And one thing to mention on Football Inc, they do have a lot of banter. And I mean, I was watching a stream earlier, and all I do is take the mick out of Johnny's shirt and stuff like that. So if you want a bit of updates, good quality content, but also a bit of a laugh, get over to Football Inc. Let's just talk for 2 more minutes about Morgan Gibbs-White, because I can't believe how much this has escalated, even in the 40 minutes, 50 minutes we've been live, guys. If you are just joining us, I know I've just plugged it on Instagram again, and the numbers have just gone over 100, which is absolutely brilliant, guys. Thank you so much for your support. The breaking news is that Tottenham are ready to trigger £60 million release clause for Morgan Gibbs-White. Things are progressing quickly as well, according to other sources. I mean, Fabrizio's tweeted on it as well. I mean, we really could be talking about Morgan Gibbs-White in a Tottenham shirt by the end of this week. I mean, it has gone very, very quickly. I mean, we haven't even talked about Mohamed Kudus, this brilliant graphic made by one of our...
Yesterday's news.
I know, but he's at the training ground. I mean, it's just crazy. That's how much we haven't even got through. That's how much is going on at the moment, is the fact that we haven't even talked about this new signing, because Tottenham are actually doing business. I mean, we're sitting here 3 days ago and saying what's going on, and suddenly we could be signing this absolute baller of a player. Let's wrap these things off. Let's wrap things off by talking about Johnny. 3 signings you'd like to see by the end of the window that isn't Morgan Gibbs-White and that isn't Kudus. You can use Wissa if you want one of them.
I'd like to see Adam Walton or Douglas Luiz. That's one position. Hincapié. Eze.
Oh, can you imagine if we got Eze, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Kudus, and Douglas Luiz, and Wharton?
I'm just thinking, I'm amazed we're going to pay 60 million.
Yeah?
No, I mean, is he 60 million?
Frank, what do you think?
Is 60 million the new 30, Frank?
Yeah, I think it is pretty much. And that's, I think, just this is how like clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City have kind of killed the market. I mean, when you look at it, like Florian Wirtz, for example, plays a similar sort of position, and he's gone for 110, 115. I'm not saying that at similar level, whatever, but Florian Wirtz has done it for a couple of years in the Bundesliga. Gibbs-White has done it for a couple of years in the Premier League. It's maybe to slightly less numbers, but it's it's, if we're talking 1 to 115 or something, then I think Gibbs-White probably works out about 60 being right. I mean, I think he's better than Elanga. And I mean, the problem is, though, that these clubs like Chelsea and things have pushed these prices up so high now that as you say, the 60 is the new 30.
100%. Good point here from Romanchu. He's on fire with his football knowledge. He said, don't forget Johnson and Gibbs-White have an existing relationship on the pitch, which will benefit. That is another great point. You're making these connections on the pitch. Maybe if Wissa comes in, that's not a good example, actually, but that's because I was thinking about potentially signing we've been talking about so many. We've talked about Mbeumo, we talked about Norgard. That's not happening. Paulinho, Wissa, and Robinson. Anthony Robinson, left back of Fulham, good player. Do we need a left back, guys? Talked about number 6. Talked about striker. Talked about right wing. Mike Snee has said he's not what we need. David Luiz. Get David Luiz out of retirement. That would be a good one. I think he means Douglas Luiz, but get your point. Get your point, mate. I want Rios, Luiz, and Sesko. That's the other thing. Sesko might not be going to Arsenal now because it looks like it's Gyökeres. So is Sesko about? Do we even need a Sesko? I think that's probably going too far. But listen, guys, thank you so much for the support. Thanks to Johnny. Thanks to Frank. Before you all click off, please do me a massive favor. If you did enjoy this live stream, hit like button, free to do so. Hit subscribe, free to do so. And also turn the notification bells on. It's next to the subscribe button if you're on mobile. And I think if you're on mobile laptop, it's on the right-hand side as well. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Comment your thoughts on all this massive news about Morgan Gibbs-White, about Wissa, about Kudus. Go and check out Johnny on Instagram. Go and check out Johnny on Football Inc. 5 or 6 things to do, guys. It's free to do so. Massive, massive appreciation for all the support. Thank you so much. Johnny, you've been great. Frank, you've been great. Thanks very much. As always. Really appreciate it, guys.
How are you, Spurs? Let's go and spend some money and let's start getting positive again. Okay, we've had the elation, and then we had the dip, and then we had the meh when they saw it was Thomas Frank or Frank Thomas. But I was very excited about Thomas Frank, and then we had the meltdown from the fan base that nothing was going on. Maybe now you start to get a bit of a semi now moving into into this window now and start to get excited. It's not long till the first game against Reading, and if you're going, I will see you there because I'll be there.
Love it, mate. What, go into the first game, Burnley?
Not first game, Reading.
Oh, Reading. Oh, look, pre-season madness. Johnny at every single game. But there we go, guys. Wrapping things up. Thank you very much for all your support. Thanks for watching for the last hour. Smash like, smash subscribe, smash a comment, smash notey bells. Check out Football Inc. And we'll see you again very, very soon for more Tottenham Hotspur transfer updates. As always, remember, come on, you Spurs! Come on.